What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the COACHMC studio. Welcome back to Open Class Doodles, Tactical Doodles for Success. And today it's a truly special episode. It's episode 50. 50 episodes of this right here, right now at the COACHMC studio, the place where we help you actors, performers, entertainers, creative minds. What's going on? Somebody's talking in the background. I'm hearing myself. It's truly weird. Let me just interrupt my intro really quick to kind of mute that crazy voice in the background. My YouTube was going on. 50 episodes, like I was saying. And today, as a special guest, we have like a distinguished content creator of the YouTube ecosystem that I've ran into last Saturday, and it was great, listening to his points. And so I'm really pumped today's guest as well. And we have like a truly epic episode today where we're witnessing our Monday program is always about the future, right? Tomorrow it's going to be 3 Sages in a Time Machine, all about the past. And then we have the current state of affair on Thursday, Open Class Doodles Day at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today, Monday day, it's looking into the future and how the future looks and how Biden dropping out will affect Hollywood, how Hollywood is already reacting to it, how that will also affect, entertainment industry and many other crucial and super important topics we will cover in today's stream. So smash the like button for the value proposition and let's jump right into it and let's see what's cooking. Unprecedented, crazy times, especially for Hollywood entertainment industry, for the state of California, for the whole of the United States. And I have John De La Ross today on the program, joining me for a quick visitation. Maybe he's gonna, be longer for another day, for another time. But for today, I'm really glad for his support. So welcome in on for this 50th episode, John De La Ross.
Hey, Coach. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Great meeting you on Saturday on the Hypnotic stream. That was a wild stream, his 100th episode, and he hit 50,000 subs the next day. I mean, he's got to be over the moon right now. Good times.
Yeah, he is. I don't think he's sleeping right now. I think Hypnotic is like in this constant state. He's not sleeping anyways because he's always working and recording videos, but now even more so. Yeah, man, it was great meeting you. And I thought like, hey, I'm giving you a spontaneous shout out here. And it's like, why don't you invite him on the show? Love your takes. You're from California, so that's definitely related. And also everything that revolves around, entertainment culture, everything that he covers also on his channel. Guys, make sure to check him out. He has beautiful content, really cool stuff, and also a beautiful project that I want to kind of share right away with him because this is what culture should be all about. Before we deal with Hollywood and the madness that's going on in politics, let's share some, authentic piece of culture. And why don't you say something about it, John?
Thanks so much. Myself, like many others, were very frustrated with the way that Star Wars has gone in particular, Warhammer 40K. It seems like every single property out there has been moving in a direction where they just are becoming less competent at storytelling. They're pushing these DEI agendas into everything, and so I wanted to make an alternative towards that. So I'm writing comics and novels. So it's multimedia, even though they're very similar properties. Within this right here, it's called the Terran Imperium, and it's up on Kickstarter, doing great. I've had my best launch ever. It's really resonating.
Nice.
With the,
Congrats.
Obviously, I think having a beautiful redhead with large boobs as a cover helps.
Sort of helps. Sure. It does.
So thank you for highlighting that. We did that intentionally because when we came up with the character, I think it was like 2021, maybe early 2022, when the Little Mermaid news was just coming out about the casting and how they were replacing Ariel with a black girl. And
yes,
Mary Jane from Tom Holland's Spider-Man just kind of got replaced with Zendaya, who's a black girl. Every property seemed to be removing the redheads. And so we intentionally were like, you know what, we're going to make a redhead character to just kind of counteract this. That can't be changed. But maybe I'll do a storyline where she actually does transform into a black girl.
No, please keep her that way. Come on. And there's actually a very sinister conspiracy theory that aims at the redhead and what it's all kind of covering up. It's truly crazy about that, by the way. So I totally support that. I think we need redheads back. Like, yeah, back where they were, because they They're not just there coincidentally. The authors, thought well about why are we placing a redhead here, because it stands for something. It's a symbol for something, right? And we need those symbols back. That's a beautiful initiative.
I agree. I appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks.
No, absolutely. Of course, sir. Of course. No, it's a beautiful initiative. And it's also something that speaks to our heart here at the COACHMC studio. We really love to provide the creative community out there with really cool and tangible information about how entertainment industry works, how to navigate the business, how to kind of set up yourself also from a business point of view, because everybody thinks just of talent, and a lot of people neglect the structural foundation that you also need. But we also love to kind of highlight creators and creativity, where it can pop up and how it can happen, right? So there are so many ways of making it happen. These are the tools that we try to give you. And also by looking at events that are happening and right in front of our eyes, we understand better how to position ourselves. Like, where is this current market moving? What are the reactions? And where is a new opening for my creativity? And we need to be a bit like that. Like, as artists, it will never be easy, right? There won't be an easy route for an artist. An artist always has to fight so on. That's something good, because that makes you compete, right? That makes you finally fight for something that's important. You're giving purpose, and everyone who creates is invited to come over here and kind of tell his story and show his purpose. And I want to thank you for that, John. And also, let's jump right into it. I mean, this is really bizarre stuff. I mean, what are we witnessing, right? Like, for a year, right? We were talking about our president, and no, everything is fine, right? It's totally okay. His health is okay. Everything is okay. Like, we've seen articles from the New York Times, right? Biden would end second term at 86. What could that mean for his brain, his body, and people analyzing brain and body and all the, the brain sections, the eyes and ears section, all that stuff. Everybody was kind of saying, yeah, it's totally fine. He can be the president. He's sound and safe. Don't worry about anything. And we're seeing other articles like this one here telling us, what are we told about the health of our presidential candidates, right? And it's up to them. And here they describe them as still being the game. And yes, with 80 years and cognitive, yes, maybe there's some degeneration going on, but overall, nothing to worry about, right? And everybody in Hollywood was, demonstrating support. All these Twitter accounts from all these people, right, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna look at him. He's fine. He's flying all over the world. Maybe he's forgetting something here and there, but hey, overall, he has so many meetings. He has so many difficult responsibilities, right? And so it's totally normal that stuff like that happens. That maybe he sometimes mixes up some words, or nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about." And then all of a sudden, we have the debate. And all of a sudden, there's nothing else to worry about, right? How can we substitute him? How can we change him? And maybe it's not the fittest anymore. And then we have the assassination attempt, and now all of a sudden, after supporting this narrative, right, we change narrative from one day to the other and say, okay, he's not fit anymore. Let's go for the new trails. Don't worry about it. It's all gonna be fine. And at least we're fighting the demon and we're fighting enemy. And why are we saying like this? Why is this important for us creators? Why is this important for us artists? Because you see, if you look at what Hollywood is doing, right, kind of endorsing in all its ways possible politics and letting be, celebrities reacting, Mike Harmon, and of course we have Spike Lee who tweeted, "Hey, super, we have a new sister on the throne," as if this would be like some sort of a Big Brother event that is televised in TV, right? And the currents that we're perceiving, like how people are reacting, what they're trying to push as a narrative, it's truly important to understand. These people, also looking at their Twitter accounts, they've been hijacked by politics. And now we go to Twitter pages from actors, from people that should be creative, from people that should inspire the youth, from people that should be a leading force, that should be an example. We see all these people just engaging in controversy about politics and kind of giving you their preach and their sermon and their views and all that. And
they're all the
that,
same.
yes, and yet they're all the same. It's not that anybody gives you a new perspective.
And I'm curious. So I mean, you work in Hollywood and the like, and I'm wondering. My first thought about all this is as a content creator and seeing how difficult it is to get the message out, to get videos out, to get people to watch. Hit that like and subscribe button, by the way. It's really an uphill battle to get seen, and yet at the same time, these actors get their messages seen like crazy. And they get propped up by YouTube and Twitter and all these other things. It's like, what's going on here? I can't help but wonder if they're being paid to do this because they're so vehement, they're so adamant, they're so on message. Sorry, my dog just heard the doorbell ring or whatnot, and this happens.
Right.
And that it seems like a little too much of a coincidence. At least for me, and I don't believe in coincidences because I've just
there are
seen
no such thing.
Narrative so much,
right?
Over and over. Yeah,
I agree. There are no coincidences, especially when we're talking about these type of events that are so crucial, right, to many million people. And I find it also fascinating. I just want to kind of, and this is again for the creative community out there. What we're doing over here at the COACHMC studio, guys, we don't want to bash someone. In my opinion, that's just a waste of time. Yeah, you sometimes can vent your frustration. We do this on Saturday Night Hypnosis. By the way, check out the funny episode that we just wrapped with John last Saturday. And there's also the need sometimes, right, to kind of let some steam off. And if it happens in all the right manners, that's all good. But over here, like, we try to look at it from an objective point of view. It's like, what can we learn from these behaviors? And like, what is really necessary sometimes to sacrifice to be acknowledged by a greater mass? And are you guys really willing to pay the price for this, to torque and torsion and twist yourself into a political opinion that you probably don't really represent anyways, just in order to appeal to the status quo? Like, look at this. This was CNN. When was this? This was in February, right? Let me look.
Wow, I remember this.
Right.
Yeah, this is wild with the debate and all that.
June. Right.
I saw, like, I mean, they would lie like this for so long and gaslight you for so long. And you could tell this entire time that, like, he's been barely able to speak, barely able to function, obviously not in charge of the government. And he just couldn't hide it when he was out on the debate stage like that all of a sudden. And the narrative shifted like that. And so to me, it was an obvious concerted effort. And to me, it's also obvious that they knew about this even back then. Otherwise, why would they be running these stories like this? And so I think when RFK came out and spoke out yesterday about how the Democrats just didn't want to have a primary, and this was all a ruse to just make it so they didn't have to have a primary so that people wouldn't vote. Because I think on average, if you were running Kamala versus RFK probably would win the Democratic primary.
Yeah, for sure.
And they didn't want that. They didn't want that. And so they subverted democracy in order to force a result, ironically, while saying that the other side's a threat to democracy. And so you watch this out here. It was very clearly planned in advance. A lot of people called it in advance. Even like I was watching, even Bill O'Reilly. I saw his YouTube deal yesterday. He called it back in October last year as well that this was going to happen. And so it was way too obvious a play. And I don't think it's going to go well for them because I think the American people are smart enough to actually see what happened here and see how they were manipulated. And people, if there's one thing about people, they don't like knowing that they've been manipulated.
I mean, look at what they wrote back in June with like, to think of that he could be incapacitated to write us up. That is bogus. That's a bogus narrative about by being ripped up in real time or as right-wing person. Like, it is all be invented by some Russian deep fake videos that want to destabilize. Like the energy they put into just acknowledging, like, instead of just acknowledging and say, hey, yeah, okay, he's 81. Everybody needs to understand. Of course, he's tired, or he's like, let's deal with reality. Just tell the truth, and maybe we find a solution out of that instead of using thousands of people and their creativity, their mind force, their life energy to kind of, conjecture some sort of a narrative that no one believes in anyways. I mean, who believes this stuff anyways? Like that we could clearly see him on many debates struggling with his words, struggling with his memory, struggling with pattern recognition, wandering around somewhere in the wild, right? Without any, like, what is this stuff? Of course there was weird behavior. Just why don't you deal with it truthfully instead of continuously lying on top of another lie?
I don't know, but this is exactly what they're going to do over and over again because it's in their nature. I mean, I feel like the media's lied for so long, they don't know how to do anything but lie. And so we're just going to get a cover up. And then interesting stuff here. I'm really interested to see what some of the Hollywood actors have to say about this. I do have limited time because I got to take my kid to a dental appointment. So I've not looked at any of this all day. I've been busy researching the Chris from Mr. Beast situation, which I write an article on it, and that was a lot of in-depth work I had to do on that. So I have no idea what the celebrities are saying. I'm pretty excited to make fun of them. I mean. Look at their wonderful points and dissect them.
Oh, absolutely. You tell me, man. Of course, when you need to go, you jump off. Don't worry. Of course, this is way more important than this stuff. No, I thought it would be interesting just to kind of look in here also the hypocrisy. Unfortunately, that I know some of these people personally. I don't have anything against them. Like. Yeah, and in certain ways, I do have something against them because they're lying, right? They're pushing the lie, and so everybody who lies on a certain level should really be held accountable for his lies because you're paying, like you're not paying a great tribute here, not to your art form, not to your decency as a human being. And again, like if I'm a young actor. I'm entering drama school and I'm looking up my heroes, right? And I jump to their Twitter and social media accounts and I go for the cool in order to understand how I can create culture. And now I see just hate, political speech, absurd commentary, bizarre stories, and kind of coming up with all sorts and twists and torques to kind of justify a political agenda. And I thought, like, what has happened to culture? What has happened to these artists? Are they so bored? Obviously, they must be paid, like you said, because first of all, they're all saying the same stuff. And second of all, if they all do it in combined effort, they somehow get paid. There's someone telling them that, or they're afraid of their status quo. But again, as actors, as artists, our mission, should we choose to accept it, to listen to the muses and to tune in the force of the energy that the universe has in store for us, then everything we should do is to upset the status quo. And not to appeal to the fucking status quo.
It's really weird. They all act like they're counterculture activists, being like edgy, like they're like
yes.
In the I think in the 60s and 70s, like the left kind of was the counterculture, and they're pretending it really comes from boomerism. And it's just kind of trickled down into it's mostly Gen X celebrities who are for following that. But they're not the counterculture. They're the completely establishment. They're echoing the establishment messages. They're not being edgy. They're being quite the opposite. Right. And that's why I think, like I said, they got to be getting paid for it because especially somebody like Mark Hamill, you wouldn't even know he was in Star Wars. I went through his feed. It's like if you go through my feed, like I've got some political stuff in there, but the first post I have is tagged about my comic creation, right? My second post I have is actually telling people to go watch this show right now. And then, it's like most of it has to do with pop culture or something like that. Mark Hamill, like it's all Trump, 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 Trump. And it looks like he has a giant platform. And so somebody just gave him some cash to do that. I mean, I can't think any other reason to do this.
I could think of another reason. It's simply because they have something against you in their drawers, and you need to execute whatever they order you to do, because otherwise they will disclose this material and then you're fucked. So whether it's
from Hollywood, do you think that many people in Hollywood are that corrupted that they have that many skeletons there? Like, is it really that prevalent for real?
If I have to be like truly honest, even if that's counterproductive for my endeavors here, because I am an acting coach, I truly believe that, unfortunately, yes.
Wow.
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, yes, because it's such an intermingling of and people are not aware of this, how sometimes Hollywood kind of touches upon, sensitive fields that are, part of the government, part of defense, part of counter espionage, a lot of stuff that is really sensitive to a government's internal structure is somehow always kind of crossing the roads of Hollywood as well, right? And so at a certain point, you get exposed to certain materials, certain information, you get in contact with certain people that have certain leverage. I mean, just think of the 60s. The 60s
Right.
are a complete field experiment. We know that by now. It was run by the government out of basically everything that happened, in LA. It's what's the famous road there? It's Laurel Canyon. Woodstock, everything is basically coming all out of Laurel Canyon. Now, if you research the people, the houses, the real estate, the connections, the agents, the artists, that were all living in this very tiny road.
Interesting.
Right? Think about when did it become popular for women to smoke in the United States? Because there was a huge taboo, there was a huge stigma for women to smoke publicly in the United States. It was a huge no-go. And Lucky Strike broke that barrier, broke that taboo. And who designed the campaign? It was Mr. Edward Bernays, the guy who wrote Propaganda, the basically Goebbels' handbook, how to terrorize and manipulate the German masses, who was the nephew of Sigmund Freud. And what did he do? What did Bernays do in order to introduce cigarettes to women? He attached a business enterprise like Lucky Strike and their corporate, goal to sell cigarettes to women. He attached that to a political movement. And he started coming up with all these, fake information about, about the social stigmata and women shouldn't be left behind and they need to emancipate. And he came up with these political groups and they founded them. And in the matter of 6 weeks in the United States, public opinion flipped. And everybody,
wow, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. 6 weeks. 6 weeks. You don't need more. You don't need more. So they know exactly by controlling the people who are. Edward Bernays had engineering consent. Public relations was engineering consent in the public. Going back to the theory also of Thomas Jefferson. Like, you need consent from the people. How can we engineer consent? And this is exactly what they're doing. And it's still there in Hollywood. They're in engineering consent, and they're using these actors sometimes without them sometimes even actively knowing it. I mean, how many actresses and actors have we covered that seemed just hijacked by the agenda, don't really know? They're just stumbling using these catchphrases, and their interviews are ridiculous. They're not really upholding the argument. They're just kind of, using that. And I just thought, John, when did this happen? When did the shift occur from actors to activists? When do you think that happened?
Let me think about this. This has been going on for a long, long time. If you go back to even the Katharine Hepburn era, she was quite the activist and attempted to shift culture, for that, I guess that would have been even second wave feminism at that point, and which really started subverting the culture. What's interesting though, is it didn't permeate their entire lives at that point. She was married to Spencer Tracy, and they had a wonderful romance that's legendary. And he was a hardcore Republican, and they both operated and worked in Hollywood fine throughout the years. And so what happened is the Spencer Tracy types just got boxed out over time. And I think, that really started happening in the 90s when sort of the edgy pro-drug, pro-sex culture became really prevalent in everything. It's probably HBO's fault for putting, the late night porn onto everything, if you really want to get into it.
I'm all for it. No. Right now, I'm just scrolling through these, a courageous and selfless decision.
I didn't see this.
The president did what he's done for the last 4 years. Sleeping?
This is the purveyor of the Mandalorian, huh? Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God. What did he do? Jeez. I really believed in this guy somehow in the beginning when I saw the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Also, his cooking show that he has. Like, to me, this. But then you read this. the exact opposite of Donald Trump. Why? What is your necessity? Yeah, it must be the deal that you struck, or the money that you get, or the relevance that you still want to hold. Because I'm a good person reader. I really think, like, I'm doing my acting thing for 35 years now. I do feel like I have a pretty good sensitivity. My antennas are pretty good with human beings. I kind of can tell and assess pretty quickly if that's like a decent being, if he's, not motivated by some values or not. And so sometimes I'm truly surprised, because some of these actors, I kind of, for myself, I kind of evaluated them as having some spinal cord, as having some morals, just by the work that we're doing, the passion that they had while doing it. So I really believed, like, no, he must be a decent human being. And then, sometimes you discover that, no, he joined the dark force, right? He joined like anybody else, I guess. I don't know. It's crazy.
Yeah, every single time. It's very sad. So
it's really crazy.
It also goes to show that if you're involved in Star Wars at this point, you almost are forced to be a political activist. Like, every person in that whole entire ecosystem is a vocal political activist for the left. They're not even silent about it. It's crazy.
Right.
I mean, I guess they saw what happened to Gina Carano, and everybody just went, that's not going to happen to me. I'm riding with Biden. I mean, Kamala, whoever they tell me to.
But whatever that is, right? It's like, exactly. I think this is really funny. Also, here we have a couple of, what was it? Oh, no, these are cheap, fake Biden videos and rapture right-wing media, but deeply the Republican National Committee posts a clip video. Then the New York Post, the Telegram, pro-Trump follows suit with the same deceptive framing. Oh, yes, he's totally fine. Trump campaign seizes a misleading video to criticize Biden's mental state. Fact check, right? Let's make sure. When was this? This was in June. In June, right? Everybody was crying at that time on Twitter. All the celebrities, whoa, leave Biden alone. Let him do his work. Fake. It was all fake. And now, oh yeah, no, of course. He did the right thing. It was responsible. What? I think people would have, and again, I'm not a voter. I mean, I've never voted in my life. I'm an Italian anyways. I'm not allowed to vote anytime near soon here in the United States. I just got my green card a year ago. So, well, I should be Mexican and just cross the border legally. Then maybe I should. That
would have been easier.
It would have been easier. But of course, right now, I mean, it's been far beyond, obvious of what kind of games we're assisting here and what's been played. So, at a certain point, I think the Democratic Party would do well just admitting, just cleaning. Like, have you seen Flight Plan with Denzel? And in the end, he just needs to say the truth for once during the movie. It's not really his best movie.
Never seen that movie. No.
It's not a bad movie. It's a decent, it's okay movie, like a Sunday afternoon couch movie. And he's a notorious liar. He's a pilot, cocaine addict, whatever, alcohol addict. And by the end, when he just needs to tell one more lie and he could go off, right? He could be free. He's not able to say that lie anymore. So he tells the truth and he goes into prison, and then he cleanses himself into prison and becomes a better human being by just telling once the truth. And I think it would be helpful for the climate in this country, for the climate also of this culture that we're seeing in Hollywood, right? Because first we had the so-called pandemic, then we had the strike, then we had the attempts of the strike, then we had AI, then we struck a deal with AI. We covered this on this channel, where basically we give AI physical introduction into the industry, and they claimed that to be a victory. They spun this like on the internet as this was like a victory we actors fought for. I wasn't a picket line there. I was interviewing people that had no idea that AI would have been introduced into an actor's contract with the union. And now IATSE is also saying, oh, of course, we are completely endorsing this. This is totally fine. No matter, no worries here. I don't know if I can find it in one of my 200 tabs that I got to open here, but IATSE today, the union that kind of is the umbrella union for the Teamsters. Let me react to Biden Kamala. I got it here, so we can see it right away. Which would have been like also a very important signal for the industry to say, hey, wait a second. You let us run the whole time with the narrative that everything is okay, and now we have to spin the narrative that's not okay. Let us at least make a statement. No, The IATSE General Executive Board voted unanimously to extend its endorsement to Vice President Kamala Harris for President of the United States on Monday, following President Joe Biden's decision not to seek re-election and his subsequent full support and endorsement of VP Harris' candidacy. She destroyed Frisco. Filmmakers are fleeing LA. California is like, I was on the brink of moving to LA 2 years ago, because my wife and I have been working with the agency for over 10 years in California, and we just stopped over Miami just to take a couple of days of a break before actually looking for the apartment. And just by staying here in Miami, we realized, do we really want to go to LA? And again, this is not to bash anyone. It's just to understand what the city has become. Like, LA has become like a nightmare. It's just fatiguing to survive there. And so out of that place, you kind of support anonymously. You give immediately, not even thinking 48 hours about it. You give support to the people who really were in charge when the downfall began and when it extended and it kind of worse and worse. So you could say that these are the people responsible. So you're not even willing to stand up for your cause as a syndicate, as a union, as someone who should defend, right, and should look out for the best for their workers and say, hey, wait a second, is this... I'm not saying you should go and vote for Trump. Again, I'm not a voter, but just to kind of stand...
I am, to be clear.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. If that's fine. Where's your hat, by the way? Don't worry. Put it on.
I've got it right here, actually.
Yeah, put it on.
I'm always ready. But I do live in California, and I am going to have to go to the dentist shortly, which means I can't wear this hat, because you can't wear this in public. You're going to get shot here. Yeah.
But you got the perfect combination. You got Scuderia Ferrari on your left sleeve.
On there?
Oh, yeah. Man, I'm Italian. Look how red I am here. No, so Ferrari's perfetto. Enzo Ferrari was an incredible guy.
Yes.
The movie really doesn't pay him any tribute at all, but it's just like, you really have to look in this guy.
I thought they really conceptually the movie was a very interesting thing, but they just kind of botched the execution of it. It just did not.
Yes.
Like, they could have done so much more with that. It's kind of sad. Yeah.
Yes. Was anybody else shocked to see the Teamsters? Pat says, union boss at the RNC. It wasn't an official endorsement yet, but he wouldn't. Yes. No,
I'm
absolutely.
not shocked. I mean, the unions used to be hardcore Democrat, but like, the Democrats have definitely abandoned the average worker at this point. And so if they are actually representing workers, and that they have to be there.
Absolutely. You just have to be there and make another statement also in this case, and be just a bit more critical and democratic and a bit more rational about what you're saying here, and kind of understanding that we're about to lose a lot of our credibility even more. And we need credibility. We need a good reputation. Guys, if they downgrade us even more on a financial level, on a world scale, we are fucked. Our reputation is everything that we have at this point, right? We sold a lot of our, we burned a lot of bridges. We sold a lot of our masterpieces. Now we really have to kind of recuperate terrain. I mean, people are buckling up. They're thinking about and we're still here kind of having our little blue against red disputes. And I guess ultimately this is what they want, to kind of, stick us into the cage of controversy so we can perceive the broader picture while they are kind of operating and doing their thing. And we're fighting over Kamala or not Kamala, or gruesome or not gruesome. I'm sorry, Gary Newsom, not gruesome, of course, but many California inhabitants would describe him with that adjective, I guess.
Absolutely. All right, I am out of time. It was wonderful hanging out with you guys. And
Thanks
this is
so
a
much.
great channel, guys. Coach is a wonderful person who really has some great insights on Hollywood, especially acting, of course. And yes, please hit the like and subscribe button and join him here. And it's good to meet you, brother. And let's just make culture better together. I mean, that's really the message here. And hopefully Hollywood will stop with this nonsense and just get back to some kind of work at some point. If not, I don't know what's going to happen. It looks like all the movie studios are actually, as much as they want this California utopia, they're all moving their production facilities to like Texas and to Canada.
Right. Weird, right?
Georgia's really got a huge movie production studios booming now. And it's because they just can't make money here because of all the, crap regulations and crap taxes that they put on everything. You'd think they'd learn, but they never do.
They never do. Thank you so much, John. Subscribe to this awesome content creator. Maybe we can have him back on the show one day, anytime soon. Or
Absolutely.
in the meanwhile, all the best also for your Kickstarter project. We're going to include all the links. Thank you so much for stopping by, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. We'll see you guys soon.
Guys, I mean, unprecedented times. We had a great guest also. So beautiful. Like, what is happening today on Monday? What is happening here in the chat? Yeah, absolutely. We kind of clicked on Saturday night, and I just spontaneously, like, sent him a message like, "Hey, you want to join today?" It's like, "Yeah, sure." And like half hour, totally awesome. Thanks so much, John, again. And like I said, also smash the like button, guys. Smash it. Just smash it. Kindly smash it. Smash it. Let's take a look at this. So the Teamsters, again, of course, the board is supportive of Kamala Harris' nomination here, which, in a way, what John was also alluding at, and I think he's spot on again. Right, true. That was truly funny. I also thought, like, it was funny that John didn't know we're huge Doctor Who fans on Saturday night. Yeah, it's crazy. Like Doctor Who is part of our legacy. I would also say, back in the days when we started Rings of Power, we started with covering Rings of Power. Will of the fans back then in the beginning was covering also Doctor Who, and this is how we got there in the first place, also to defend Tolkien, and this is how we connected. So Doctor Who was one of our first topics that were circulating. Yeah, it was truly funny that he didn't know that. Absolutely. A couple of things that really, and this again, this should speak to the art. It's not to slam anyone. It's not to bash. It's just to understand how these things work out. And sometimes we've been played without even noting it, and because we're so distracted, we're so caught up, and it is difficult to be a great creator nowadays, right? To do something useful, to serve, and to have a bigger purpose if you're continuously like caught up in these games, in these political games, and people from your personal background, from your circle of colleagues, from your work environment, kind of drag you into this controversy, into this constant battle. And you might argue, hey, why are you covering this then in the first place? Aren't you kind of, elementing the real the fire that you want to extinguish? And I have to tell you guys, I don't want to extinguish any fire. I think fire is important, but I think it should it should give force to the right container, so we get the steam that we need. I feel controversy just for the sake of bashing someone, where does this lead us, right? We will always stand on our poles. We will always stand on our ridges and unable to communicate or to build a bridge. But if we start, having even if it's conflictual, but nonetheless a healthy discussion, a healthy controversy, a useful type of conversation, a dialogue based on the facts and what we're looking at, instead of always taking position blindly without thinking of, hey, we are lending our power to an agenda here. What type of agenda is this? And this counts for left and right, for red and blue, or how you want to call it, right? That's why I say we should always focus on us. We should notice the stuff. I feel like I'm not fueling the fire. I just feel like by assessing it, reporting it, analyzing with you guys, having guests and talk about it, we dissect it, we deconstruct it, we understand it better. I'm not fueling any fire. I want to give us more oxygen. That's for sure. So we can feed the right fire, the right passion, the right steam locomotive, right? The right boiler. And it's sad that so many people forget their decency in the prospect of winning a discussion, even if it's just digitally on Twitter, that they forget what actually should be their value and what they represent. And I've been covering these news now for a while, looking at Hollywood and their behavior, and seeing also what John is saying, all the other people are saying all the same thing. Is like we would immediately, not immediately, but we would definitely consider going back to the movie theater if you would show us something that we want to see. Now, look, this is Mark Ruffalo's Twitter, for example. And again, I could pick any of these people, right? And I mean, look at this Twitter page. I mean, this is an actor. This is somebody who could inspire people, who could give, like, he probably thinks he's doing something important. But then again, and everything that is written here has to do with politics. Everything. And you can't really, this is about Grinder, gay dating site, whatever, why that is necessary to appear in this. Everything that he has on here is just fueling fire for the wrong boiler. And this is just why we're doing this here. So you can differentiate, like, not what right is wrong, but what is the boiler that I want to fuel? What is the boiler that I want to heat? Where do I want to put my energy? Is this what I want to tell the whole day? Why giving money to the Ukraine is okay? Why endorsing Kamala Harris? Nonetheless, we know Kamala Harris is, what type of political figure is Kamala Harris? Like, truly, is she political at all? I mean, looking at her upbringing, everything that she did so far in her career, I mean, how can you just endorse someone because he's for your party, even though you don't know this person really? Or maybe you know her so well and you kind of feel, we're sharing the same values. Really? Are these the values you want to share? Like, we know exactly what kind of career she kind of entertained so far, right? I don't think Mark Ruffalo got, to the point where he is today on, to his peak performances, to his many accolades, and to the many movies he did just because, he was sleeping his way up, right, from one couch to the other. I don't believe that. He became very popular. Mark Ruffalo started on Broadway. He became very popular in New York. People were speaking about him and about his theater appearance, that there was something eerie, uncatchable about him. And so he was making a name for himself. That's how he got his first projects, and he built him a career. He built a name, he built a reputation, and he got into Avengers. And this is something to be proud of. This is what you should teach to the people, what you've learned in all these moments, and not spreading controversy at all costs and defending a pole, a flag at all costs. This is not democracy. It's also not reasonable. It doesn't make you a better human. You have a certain point to understand, okay, we lost this battle. For the next 4 years, it's not going to be us. Let's collect our information, our experiences. Let's lick our wounds. Let's kind of, stitch up our wounds, and let's understand what we have to make better, because ultimately there are hundreds of millions of people out there that might not, share my political worldview, but they are still part of this country, and I want them to, to feel safe nonetheless, even though we share different, opinions on politics, and not feel threatened, because otherwise we're in what type of regime are we living then, right? So you can't continuously produce the stuff and then lament the fact that people don't want to see you anymore, because they identify you at a certain point with these political statements, and they can't get them out of their heads, because the media is, of course, running their treadmill and putting water onto their mill and kind of exploiting the situation more and more, instead of calming the waters, giving more rational information, and highlighting the perspectives a bit better, a bit more granularly, in order to kind of to create a serene environment for where politics can benefit both so-called parties, even if in my opinion there are no parties. It's all one party. Guys, it's all business, it's all money, it's all the stream of liquidity and nothing else. Let me know what you think about that. Yes, that's the state of things that we're witnessing here. Again, another incredible actor. His name is Mark, whatever, and he once played an iconic, character called Luke Skywalker. And again, here he could tell so many stories on his account. He could, leave legacy for future generations and tell them, hey, how I got here and what I did. Right? I could, I could imagine Mark Hamill really being like the role that he portrayed, like being really like a good lighting a guiding light for younger generations, aspiring actors, filmmakers, entertainers. Instead, this is what we get to see on his Twitter, you know. Politics, shooting against Trump, right? And comparisons, weird metaphors. Somebody died. Okay, let's acknowledge someone's death. I mean, of course, sorry, not. Trump is deranged. Okay, and he fell asleep. And politics. What is wrong? Why have you left culture? Why have you left the good realm? Why have you left your art, your craft? For what? What is your intention here? Just distribute more pain? Even if you know, let's say you know you're on the right side of things. Somehow you know. You had like this epiphany. A godly illumination, right? You're right. So you know it. Finally you know it. Now what do? Okay, you can tell it to someone and he doesn't believe you. So what do? You beat the shit out of this person because he doesn't believe you? No, of course not. You try to convince him otherwise. How? With your actions. You sound like a communist, Pat. I hate to sound like a communist. But they make too much. Let's do it in Russian. I hate to sound like a communist, but they make too much money. Yeah, sure. A lot of money and a lot of time, and if you don't have any other mental occupation, can lead into a catastrophe like we're witnessing here, unfortunately. Right? This is definitely the result. Right? We're seeing people like using their time in a very ill-fashioned way, in my opinion, and not giving us the foundations to further create. Because this is also a very isolated program, right? If you're not joining their program, you're not part of any program. And so therefore, you're creating a circle of exclusivity where there is just one taste allowed. Whereas if there is just one taste allowed, you can't create art because you have to be conform to that taste. And this is the fact. And so everyone who kind of, stands out, right? It doesn't want to join conformity is somehow right-wing or like a fascist or someone who's dangerous. Why is that? And please explain to me what right-wing means, even if it's right-wing. So am I a less better human, or what's wrong with me if I'm a right-wing guy or left-wing guy? What's better with being left-wing? What? Is our country better off now that we've been reigned by a left-wing guy, or are we, worse off? Like, what is the difference? If you look at a state, look at California or New York, like, are they better off now that they're governed by a left-wing guy? Does this make the state better? Does this make the families better, their lives better? Truly, is this a state where you feel like people are living in prosperity and safety and healthy and in a great and fruitful and blossoming environment? Yes or no? So what does left or right wing mean? Because the left wing can always blame the other wing for the situations that they have at their hand. And the same thing could also be true for the opposite wing. So again, we're not finding any solution here. And I guess that's also the reason why they're doing it in the first place. Whether it's right or left, they want to keep us in the circle of eternal controversy. It's like a war on drugs. Have you ever heard of the war on drugs? Oh, guys, no. This year, we're super serious about the war on drugs, right? It's always war. They never come up and say, hey, we have a plan. We have the solution against drugs. They never kind of, pronounce like a law or like, just something like a program, a national-wide program that states solution against drugs. No, it's a war. Why? Because solution is definitive, right? There is nothing else. It's a finite, absolutely definitive moment. It's going to be a solution. It's going to be implemented by the woman. Then it's over. You found a solution. And so therefore, there is no further involvement necessary. A war can take forever. It can absorb a lot of money. Oh, why are you spending all this money, government? It's for the war on drugs. I see. And what is this? That's the war on terrorism. I see. And what's this? That's the war on, whatever it is. it's a never-ending process. And these semantic traps, they keep you in the loop and out of your conscious creativity. I know that sounds like woo, like a huge flip here, but I truly mean that. The reason why we're covering all this, guys, is not to indicate you. I don't want to engineer any type of consent, right, inside of your brain, kind of tending towards the left or the right or blue or red or anything. Just look at the situation. What is it? Look at the situations that we have at hand in different states in the country with different economies. What are we facing? What are the major problems? Let's find the solutions. Let's not continue to lament the wrong boiler and to continue with the war. What are the solutions, you might ask? I'm glad you asked. Ding dong. But first I will answer this little question. I just want to kind of point you out to a little website that is called readytoperform.com. Readytoperform.com is the latest product by the COACHMC studio. Yes, and this program was invented, conceived, coined, and then manufactured over the last 11 years to give you actors, performers, public speakers, realtors, lawyers, architects, everybody who needs to creatively communicate his ideas in a remarkable way. Everyone out there who wants to make a living in the future and being recognized by his talents might want to take a look at this, because readytoperform.com is a comprehensive, very compact skill set toolbox, right? Various skill set toolbox that you can take away, and after implementing them, exercising them, using them, you will see that for the rest of your life, you will take advantage of the lessons that you will, extrapolate of our beautiful sessions. Whether you're a performer, communicator, entertainer, readytoperform.com is your toolbox in order to really upstage your level of quality of output, really impact the audience by telling something that is truly authentic, compelling, and intriguing. So if you are happening to be such artist that wants to kind of, step up his game, that wants to level up with the big players in the industry, that wants to enter entertainment industry for the first time, or maybe re-enter, reappropriate entertainment industry in your sense of identity in the acting game, then definitely check us out. And let's talk about a free discovery session with no strings attached, where you can find out if we're a great match for each other, and then we can take your work to the next level. Ding! Readytoperform.com. Welcome. Little public service announcement. Sorry to everyone out there. That was absolutely necessary. And also to remind you guys, as much as we love shooting these videos, giving you these content creators, having these conversations with other fellow YouTubers and trying to bring you the latest news, the latest developments, of course, we truly love and we're passionate about this. It goes just without saying that without your support, we won't be here in the first place, and we can also grow as a channel. So make sure to subscribe, guys. It just gives us that little smile at the end of the day that will be very sad otherwise. Just leave your like on the table. No, but subscribe, guys. It just supports the channel. It shows the algorithm what you cherish the most. I don't have to tell you what every other YouTuber tells you, but it's true. The algorithm understands what you value. We value your feedback. We grow together, and so we can produce better content, be distributed to far more creators, have more feedback from the other streams, and getting more, people also on the channel. So by subscribing, you're making this endeavor definitely worth it, but you're also enriching, the program's offerings and also the videos that will get offered to you, because now the algorithm knows exactly what you want to see in the future. So a lot of people watch our content. We see that. We're truly grateful for that. But we also notice that a lot of these people that are watching our videos aren't actually subscribed. So just do that. Just kind of push that button. Just gently smash that subscribe button. And afterwards the like, and afterwards the bell, and then maybe all three together. And then again, just to make sure. Subscribe. Thank you so much. Let's go back. Back in the days, back into time. I just want to again coming back to these articles, right? For example, this is a typical
New York Times. This was back in April 25th. And octogenarian health, right? Octogenarian health. It's a fancy word for saying beyond your 80s. So Biden would end his second term at 86. Like what could that mean for his brain and body? So we're taking a look at his brain and body, but why is the New York Times not asking what could that mean for the United States? If you have someone who's close to 90, and believe me, I'm coming from Italy where we had the president of the republic being close to 90, and that you don't want to have that. You don't want to give veto rights and any type of very important decision. You want to place them into the head or into the hands of people who are decrepitated, who are not being able to respond cognitively. I'm not saying that politicians should be all young, but they should be, at least considered to be on the top of their physical and mental game when they're, having the privilege to be invited to govern such an illustrious and important and powerful country like the United States. So already how they pronounce this question to me is weird. Biden would end his second term at 86. What could that mean for his brain and body? What, that it ends at 86? Is this the question that you want to ask? What it means for his brain and body? He's 86. What do you think it means to his brain and body? It's no good news to stand around the whole day, to answer the phone calls the whole day, to make important decisions the whole day, being stressed and pressured and rushed the whole day isn't a good thing for your brain and for your body when you're 86. Look at the countries with the highest longevity, right? Like Italy or Japan, where you find these old villages, right, with the even older encrusted, rusty people that are walking around there. Yes, they look still healthy and they do their thing. It's because they are not getting rushed, pressured, or stressed by their environment. Ding dong. It's because they can get up, they drink their grappa or their sake, whatever it is. They go to the sea, take a little stroll, eat a bit fish, eat a bit pasta, sit around and talk gossip all day. And then they go to bed after watching the good night news. So that's a life that you can live until you're 120. Yes. And that doesn't, and it still kind of affects your brain. But of course, having a very stressful, very responsible, very big job, being one of the most powerful men on planet Earth, even though that's another video. But yes, having that job, of course, affects our brain and our body. What type of question is that anyway? And is that the right question to ask? And funny enough, if you read through this article, it's in the beginning. President Biden has announced his plans to rerun for re-election in 2024, right? If he wins, and mind you, this was April 25th. Okay, if he wins, he will be 82 when he takes office and 86 when his term ends, which would establish him for a second time, right? As this is something that we should mention, right? As for the second time as the oldest person to assume the U.S. presidency. Donald Trump is not far behind. He will be 78 during the 2024 election, and he would enter octogenarian territory during another presidential term, right? He is, he would be 82, right? He would turn into the age Biden is already when he, kind of starts the term. So that's definitely a difference, especially in the octogenarian territory, good old New York Times, right? But the funny thing is, you now expect an article that tells you about, hey, what is decision making in the 80s? How can we improve that? Is there like an awareness that we should create for other people? I will forever remember the moment I unsubbed that shill of Jay Shetty, that World Economic Forum mascot, I believe at this point, right? So many people from that, cluster of power coming to his channel, and he's always embedded by them and all that. And I was, for a while, I was watching regularly Jay Shetty content because it wasn't Jay Shady back in the days, it was Shetty. And I kind of not really believed or supported this guy, but hey, he said a couple of things that, through and through made sense and were a new take sometimes, or at least a more modern take on certain things like spirituality and mindset and all that. And then from all people, of course, he was forced to, probably paid very well, whatever. from all people, he interviewed Joe Biden on the issue of mental health and cognitive abilities and how important it is to have that type of, healthy mental environment up there in your head. And it's like, are you kidding me? You're giving this guy a platform to talk about mental health and not being critical. I mean, it would be interesting to have a discussion with someone who's suffering from any type of, regressional, sickness or illness and kind of how he's handling that. But no, he basically kind of, spread the vows for him there and, kind of the red carpet and, oh, you're such an example and, you're doing such a great job. And it's like, yeah, selling yourself out doesn't really help, right? To cover the truth up. I mean, at a certain point, it will just show. And that was the moment I unsubbed because I felt that was like a very hypocritical move. I didn't want to deal with this channel anymore at a certain point because I felt like really betrayed, also by someone who I believed would at least conserve a little bit of integrity. But then after that interview, it kind of he collapsed more and more, invited more and more suspicious people, in my opinion. But here again, this is a typical thing. Like, okay, we start, and now you will expect an argument, a discussion, like an educated kind of, dissecting of, of the topic and understanding, what they think about it. Oh, but of course, we have the first statement. President Biden is a healthy, vigorous 80-year-old male, according to a February report from the White House physician. The spectrum of health at older ages varies so widely, said Dr. Holly Holmes. Really? Holly Holmes? Holly Holmes? A professor and the chair in gerontology at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston. As we get older, we are more and more unlike our peers, and it becomes harder to generalize what a typical 80-year-old would be like. Hey, Dr. Arshawn Morrison, a professor and the chair in geriatrics at the Icahn School of Medicine at Mount Sinai in New York, added that the changes that occur during aging happen to different people at different times. Some 85-year-olds have healthier bodies than some 65-year-olds, and much of the variation comes down to genes and a personal lifestyle before the age of 60. Sure, an 85-year-old that probably has a healthier body than a 65-year-old. Yes, if you take the extreme cases, for sure. Is that the average? I'm not sure at all. And then we enter the realm of, looking into our brain, looking ears and eyes, heart and lungs, really, digestive system. Oh, thank you for the medicine update. Bones and joints. They don't really discuss as journalists what it means to run a country. They're looking at ears like Helly. Helly. Okay. Thank you. And that's not a like critical journalism, right? You completely deflect, you go in completely different topics, you take a very generalized view, and then it's up to you what you kind of, you reverse engineer out of this agglomerate of different, Is this what you think you should tell to the American people? Is this what you really think? How bones work, how ears and eyes work when you're 80? What it means for him, what it means for us as a country, as a culture. These are the questions you should ask. Again, to me, it's now kind of seeing all these people popping up and say, yeah, it's better. It's so responsible that he drops out. Yeah, it's at the time. Now it was showing. Like we had these primaries to establish him as the presidential candidate because you wanted to rule out the Kennedy. And now a couple of weeks later, months later, telling me, no, he's not fit anymore. He still can run the country though. It's just, election campaign is harder than running the country, of course. And now it's the vice president without any primary because probably she would have lost. So John De La Rose made an excellent point there. So maybe, of course, they knew this like from the beginning, from the start of this year, but they kind of, they also were afraid of putting Kamala against Kennedy in the primaries. And so this is, I think, their track of getting her where they want her to be. What does that mean, though, for culture? Look at what culture is doing. Oh yeah, we react to the debates. How many screens are broken tonight? Not one actor that asks, "All my friends are taking the blood pressure medicine now." This was Betty Midler before the debate, preparing for the debate. I wonder how many TV screens are going to be broken tonight. My God, the way this F Acker lies, it's just astonishing. Fear and grievance at infinitum. The best environmental numbers. Jesus Christ, every word of his mouth is a lie. Every single word. Ha ha ha. That is hilarious. I have to big. So whether you create culture and art or you shut up, because you're not doing yourself a service here. You're not doing your culture a service. You're not doing your people a service. And Hollywood right now is, of course, trying to kind of, support the story, trying to make the best out of it, trying to, position themselves as supporter of Kamala. Now, is this really pro Kamala, or is this like a camouflaged endorsement of Gary Grusom that maybe will, through internal voting, make it to a more, like I can't even say it, but he will probably be a bit more of a credible, candidate, a bit more of someone who could, still thought of being as a politician, right? Kamala, I'm really not sure how many people see Kamala as being a real politician or having any idea of what she has accomplished. Next to nothing that I can remember. I mean, the stuff that Grusom accomplished, they were gruesome, but at least people remember them, right? At least he has a name for having done something where people can associate, even if it's a bad experience, but they can still associate an experience with him. I think the only people that can associate an experience with Kamala, right? Bum 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 bum. I'm sorry to be like this, but truly, it's if these guys are posting all this stuff, then I can be also slightly funny here. And now, at the end of the show, I just want to give you this idea that, politics, not politics. We talked about this also on Saturday night. I believe in the end, guys, this is all a game. It's all a game to distract us. The devil wants our focus to be on external things and not internal things. And this is truly what I like to accomplish with episodes like this, is to show you that there is some sort of a charade going on. I'm not pretending that I know all the truths here, or that I know which part is good and which is evil. I know exactly. I do know exactly what you should focus on, though. And you should focus on your art, on yourself, especially in moments like this. Because when everybody else is panicking, and right now we have that panic mode everywhere in the world, right? Political structures are collapsing, financial structures are collapsing, hierarchies and the dominance, in the world dominance, they're changing. There are fluctuations in the way nations that used to collaborate with each other now are kind of departing from each other. So when you have those moments of high flux and high oscillation, high uncertainty, this is where when now it's the time to focus on myself the most, to not serve the external status quo, but just to serve the internal status quo, to make sure that you position yourself, to go inward, to shut yourself off from the noise, to perceive it as a game, as something to laugh about, and not take it too seriously. I mean, this is like literally the implication of laughing about, not taking too seriously. But laughing about is also not meant like laugh it. Laugh about it because it's so funny what they do in order to get our attention. Their game will fall if you don't pay attention anymore. Nobody watching means no awareness, no relevance. If you're not watching, if you're not picking up a gun anymore, nobody's going to shoot anymore. I don't want to disarm you. I just want to tell you, like, if we stop using guns, then then we have to go back to bare knuckle fighting. No, but you catch the drift, right? It's about understanding that in these times when when everybody's shouting the loudest, this is when you should turn the most silent. Go inward, serve yourself, put on healthy habits. Read Habits by Charles Duhigg or Smarter, Better, Faster by Charles Duhigg. Read great books that inspire you. Start taking notes. Start coming over to the COACHMC studio. Watch my acting tips videos. Audition. go to new meetings, to new events, go to museums, work on your own product. Don't get distracted, especially in times of this, because these times, even though it seems impossible right now, at a certain point, boom, ding, da, 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 will be gone, right? At a certain point, the red curtain will be kind of, pulled away, and there's going to be a new world, a new dawn, a new day, and they will need you. And all of a sudden, the people who gotten distracted, right, they will have an advantage over their competitors who are still like in shambles over what happened, and they can still figure out how this could have happened. No, you are ready. You already invested in yourself. You already made your product better. You already made the smart moves. You already positioned yourself to be ready when the flux is over, when the so-called crisis is not a crisis anymore. Even that, just the term itself, like, who tells us that's a crisis? Is there like a monetary status? Is there like how many countries are at war and now we can call it a crisis? Who claims that right to declare a crisis? Like, what is the reference marker of a crisis? Is it inflation? What is that? What is crisis? Crisis is just an occult, an obfuscated term of change. They say crisis because they want you to live with the perception of fear, instability, and uncertainty, because then you consume the most. They want you to understand change as a crisis and keep everything the same as something safe, as something stable, as something to look out for, to live for. But that's wrong, because you're trying to put a different cognitive, apprehension of what is actually happening over the real world, over the real life experience. And this is when people turn bogus. This is when they turn mad, because you're telling them one thing, but subconsciously they're experiencing the exact opposite. So change should be embraced and crisis should be eliminated, because it's a term that's not true. It's just change. What they are saying is crisis is just fluctuation, oscillation. It's part of the game. You can't eliminate that. If you eliminate that, you eliminate the most human part about us, which is contradiction. Right? That means you kind of streamline and genetically engineer conform people who will never run against the narrative, because it's easier to deal with them. And by that, you have created a society of zombies. We don't want that. Creators need to upset the status quo, like I said in the beginning when John was still here. And that means that our mission is to look through the BS, to look through the crisis and see prosperity at the end of this tunnel and prepare for that. Because only if you prepare for that, the prosperity that will inevitably kick in, because it will never have you, like, look at history. Every generation had its major crisis, its major concern, right? Whether it was, in the 60s, it was that, it was called counterculture. Now it's called cancel culture. It's almost the same term, right? Counterculture in the 60s. Now it's cancel culture. But counterculture had its narrative, its crisis, bada boom, and it seemed like the world is about to die and to end. No, we all survived, right? The 70s and here, and it's the end, and we all survived. The 80s, AIDS, right? We will all die. No, we all survived. Ozone layer in the 80s, and we all survived. Nobody is talking about the on climate, right? It's warming up. Now it's just change, and we will all survive that and all the other changes that they masquerade as a crisis. That's how malintentioned they are about documenting, reporting, and real life and what is truly happening. That's why I say I give you this type of news and these insights also to detach yourself a bit from a narrative. Understand that this is a game that they will continuously propose to kind of masquerade the good change as being the bad crisis. It's just change. There's no good press or bad press. It's just press. There is no good or bad event. It's just an event. Notice it, implement, make it better, and wait for the success. If you want success to happen in your system, then success needs to feel welcome in your system. If you're always focused on controversy, fights, on hate and fear. And certainly if you're always focused on the next crisis, then of course your system won't welcome success because you're not focused on that. It doesn't feel welcome in a body that is uncertain. It doesn't feel welcome in a system that is concerned about what's about to happen tomorrow and never focused on improving today. Success will never inhabit the body that is always longing on to its past and is not able to let go of the skeletons of yesterday. Success will never inhabit the body that doesn't pay attention to the present and doesn't serve the inner status quo more than the outer status quo. Success won't happen in the body that just serves the external agendas and never the internal agendas. You catch the drift, right? Stay focused on what's really making you better and not losing your focus and ultimately energy, because this is the game that the system plays with you in order to keep you in check, to keep you small, to keep you conform, to keep you stable, and to keep you uncreative. Everything that we try to accomplish over here at the COACHMC studio is to make you big, to give you entitlement, to give you tools, to make you strong, to let you feel the power that your creativity has, and to give you also the instruments that you need in order to turn that power into something constructive, tangible, beautiful, digital or physical piece of art that will be, enjoyed forever. And this is how you create a legacy. This is how you create revenue, how you create stability in your life. Not by participating at these clown shows, at these charades, at these really malintended masquerades that they play with us every decade, every year. It's time to detach yourself from the matrix a little bit and kind of plug in like Neo, right? Download acting, download performing, download entertaining. You can do this here at the COACHMC studio as well. We have tons of videos covering acting tips, career strategy tips, and also news flash like this one. If you're new to this beautiful channel and to this endeavor and to the creative community, make sure to subscribe. Otherwise, we will have a great episode of Three Sages in a Time Machine happening tomorrow with the Welsh word wizard Ryan Roger Athey and the magical fire-breathing, slightly alcohol-addicted cousin of Smaug Dragon Slayer commentaries and my humbleness, giving you the best of, trying to shed light into the mystery of history. And on Thursday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we have the next open class looking to the current state of affairs. This was like a little bit of a breaking Open Class Doodles episode today, episode 50. Truly proud of this little milestone this year. Hopefully we're going to add another 50 episodes very quickly. Otherwise, we just passed 100 episodes on Saturday Night Hypnosis, so definitely check out the replay there with John De La Rosa, that was also present today here. I just got an info. Wait, what? Wait a second, I have to tune in with my directional supervisor, phantom operator, Kraken manipulator, foreseer of future events. Her name could be a name of many others, but just for the sake of it, let's call her Cassandra, the director. And Cassandra, the director, tells me, yes, next Open Class Doodle is going to be 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's not going to be 6 p.m. Thank you, Shadow Being and Wise Navigator, for this illuminating information, for guiding us safely through the mazes of YouTube. 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, our next Open Class Doodle. Even though I always said, let's change it on 6 p.m. Now that I wanted to change to 6 p.m. because more American viewers can tune in, now we're changing it to 3 p.m. because of, current events and things that need our attention at 6 p.m. And so we can't do it for that time, but we will stream at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Cassiopeia Cassandra Networks, for giving us that information through the ether. Otherwise, I want to thank Pat. I want to thank Monkey One. I want to thank John De La Rosa, of course, D Peak, and the others for joining us here on Instagram, on Facebook as well. See you tomorrow. 3 Sages in a Time Machine, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Otherwise, check my Instagram as well, guys. Through my link tree, you find also my Telegram channel, which is especially for the creative community down here in South Florida, a very important lifeline to networking events, casting alerts, representation, looking for new entries in their roster, all types of news revolving around entertainment industry, show business. You can find them on our Telegram channel. So through my link tree on Instagram, you can find, I know you guys don't like Telegram, tiki-taki, but at a certain point, I will definitely start with Discord, but just for the sake of keeping people informed, because these castings are happening very quickly, we thought of Telegram being the safest, and which it is, by the way, option just to give out that news. So definitely also subscribe, download Telegram and subscribe to our Telegram channel. It's Movie Makers Miami, a great resource for many actors, entertainers, and creative forces. What's up, Osiris? Thank you so much, man. You're joining a bit late today. I'm having a rather compressed episode because of the current events, how they unfold, and kind of covering the reactions. We had John Del Ross here. Make sure to catch the replay, maybe. Otherwise, see you tomorrow for 3 Sages in a Time Machine. Like I said, go to our Telegram as well. You can find the link through my Instagram link tree. And I'm also on TikTok, where I sometimes post other videos, reels. I have my Instagram reels also going on with some acting tips and also some art stuff going on. There's a couple of news that will come up about that in the future as well. There's definitely a lot of stuff happening on the channel. I wish I could shoot more videos for you guys. Definitely, and we're trying to plan ahead to give you a better schedule. But I feel like, again, we're not really YouTubers, right? We're a sort of middle ground, Twilight Zone type of Doctor Who travelers in between the different mediums we're entertaining. We're an acting studio, coaching studio for creative hats. And so this is our daily work. But of course, when we get the time to implement what we also teach here during the lessons on our YouTube channel, we will most definitely do that. And I personally want to increase, the content that we grind out. Right now, we can do 3 times a week live here on the channel, and 2 times on Saturday on other channels. We were looking forward to kind of increase that, make this a bigger program. But so far, I think it's in the reasons of what we have to, tackle every day in terms of workload. This is what we can do so far. So, stick with us, share this program with the ones that you love as well. Spread the news about this channel, creative community. Thank you so much for coming out. It's been definitely a blast to give you this type of info. See you tomorrow with 3 Sages and a Time Machine. And now you're ready to perform.